Ferrari didn't plan for this. What the engineers recently unearthed inside Maranello's most advanced systems has shaken the entire team and left Lewis Hamilton staring at numbers he could hardly believe. For months, the official story was simple: adaptation takes time. Fans were told to be patient. Yet in the shadows of the simulator rooms, a different truth was forming, one that no press release would ever dare to mention. Hamilton's start at Ferrari was supposed to be electric, a partnership between the sport's most successful driver and its most legendary team. Instead, race after race, the results have been empty. 14 rounds, not a single podium. But behind that painful statistic lies a deeper story. Not about effort, not about age, but about tools that were quietly failing the man who built his career on precision. And here's the twist. The problem wasn't just on track. It started in the very place where modern Formula One dreams are supposed to be created, the simulator. What Ferrari found there was enough to turn a season of confusion into a revelation. And for Hamilton, it explained why the trust he once had in every lap suddenly vanished. When Hamilton signed with Ferrari, fans imagined instant fireworks, podiums, maybe even a championship charge. Instead, he found himself stuck in endless cycles of frustration. And the real bombshell, the source of that frustration, wasn't only on track. It was buried in Ferrari's own simulator. For a modern phone driver, the simulator is the heartbeat of preparation. It's where setups are born, where tire degradation is studied, where every adjustment can mean the difference between pole position and mediocrity. But for Hamilton, that lifeline became a trap. Insiders whisper that Ferrari's system wasn't built around his driving style at all. Years of development had fine-tuned the tool to suit Charles Leclerc's preferences, locking Hamilton into parameters too narrow, too rigid, too blind to his demand. Imagine handing a master painter only 3 colors and expecting a masterpiece. That's what Hamilton faced. He poured in more hours than anyone, showing up early, staying late, demanding extra sessions after every race. But the feedback loop betrayed him. What felt promising in simulation dissolved by Friday practice, leaving Hamilton chasing ghosts that didn't exist on the track. In Formula One, confidence isn't built in front of the camera. It starts in the simulator, where every variable, tire wear, wind direction, brake temperature, is rehearsed until the driver knows exactly what to expect. But for Hamilton, that transition from digital to reality was brutal. Time after time, he would leave the simulator convinced a solution had been found. The numbers looked solid. The balance charts lined up. Yet, by the first laps of free practice, everything collapsed. Braking points drifted unpredictably. Corner rotation felt inconsistent. The car's balance shifted lap after lap, as if mocking the hours of preparation. And slowly, something more dangerous than a bad setup began to grow: doubt. Insiders described the atmosphere inside the garage as suffocating. Hamilton, who once trusted his feel more than any sheet of data, found himself questioning the very tools designed to guide him. Each mismatch between simulation and reality chipped away at his belief, not just in the car, but in the process itself. And once that erosion begins, it spreads quietly. Not in headlines, but in whispered frustrations hidden behind closed doors in Maranello. At first, the engineers thought it was minor, just a sharper bite point, a modulation curve that felt a little different. Nothing that should derail a 7-time champion. But under closer scrutiny, the truth emerged. Ferrari's new braking layout had quietly stolen Hamilton's most trusted weapon. For years at Mercedes, braking wasn't just about slowing down. For Hamilton, it was an art. He used the pedal to rotate the car, to control the weight transfer, to open lines that others couldn't even imagine. The feel was progressive, layered, almost musical. But in the SF25, the system had become digital, on or off, with no subtlety in between. To most drivers, it was manageable. To Hamilton, it was like asking a violinist to perform with broken strings. Insiders admit he's been chasing that old sensation since the very first laps. Each time he rebuilt confidence, conditions would change and the feeling would vanish again. The result was cruel. Overheated tires, inconsistent entries, lap times collapsing when it mattered most. To outsiders, it looked like Hamilton had simply lost touch, but in reality, he was fighting an invisible enemy, a braking system that never gave him the nuance he needed to be himself behind the wheel.
At Mercedes, Hamilton lived in a world of controlled precision, a strange vibration, a tenth lost in Sector 2. It would be logged, dissected, modeled, and corrected within weeks. Problems weren't political, they were engineering puzzles solved with data and relentless discipline. That culture matched Hamilton perfectly. Ferrari, however, breathes differently. In Maranello, passion is as strong as mathematics and emotion seeps into every decision. When pressure mounts, that volatility spills over. A frustrated radio call isn't just a driver venting, it becomes a statement. Analyzing the Italian press, a bad Saturday isn't a setback. It's a crisis that sparks internal debates about pride and legacy. For Hamilton, the shift was jarring. Insiders say he quickly realized the brake issue wasn't treated like a flaw in need of fixing, but like a storm cloud hanging over every meeting. Confidence eroded not only from the track, but from the atmosphere itself. At Mercedes, he could lean on the system. At Ferrari, the system leans on him, expecting the legend to rise above the flaws. But how do you lead when the very foundation feels unstable? That's the conflict Hamilton has been forced to navigate since his first laps in red inside Ferrari. This wasn't just another technical glitch, it became a political earthquake. The simulator limitations and braking mismatch exposed cracks that went far beyond engineering. Every missed podium, every frustrated message on the radio, every cautious word in interviews started feeding a bigger narrative. Was the Hamilton experiment failing? Ferrari hadn't just hired a driver. They made a statement to the entire world that Lewis Hamilton in red would redefine the Scuderia. It was a gamble worth hundreds of millions of dollars, tied not only to results, but to pride, reputation, and myth. And in Formula One, pride is as heavy as performance.